Welcome to Health Matters. Today we explore a popular field of alternative medicine, homeopathy. We are in conversation with Dr. Steffi Sapeco. Dr. Steffi is a consultant homeopath at Vere Rej since 2015 and a life member of St. Luke's Medical Guild Goa. She is also a member of the Homeopathic Medical Association of India, their Goa branch. Dr. Steffi, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
To start off, I'd like to understand what homeopathy is.
So, homeopathy is a branch of medicine wherein we prescribe the remedies based on a principle of similia similibus curantur. Now, this principle means likes cures likes. So, what happens over here is we have a procedure wherein we take the case, and this case will be taken in detail. That is, we need the physical as well as the mental symptoms of the patient.
Okay.
Upon taking all these symptoms, we analyze the entire case and then prescribe the remedy based on the constitution, which is also called as an individualized remedy.
Okay.
So, based on the constitution of the person. And this medicine which is given will be in the form of a tablet. And this tablet will contain the solution, that is the main medicine. This tablet will help in increasing or triggering the immune system of the person and help in reinforcing the system and helping the patient to cure himself.
Okay. So, doctor, what do you mean by individualized or constitutional remedy?
So, by individualized or constitutional remedy, I mean that we consider the mentals as well as the physical symptoms of a person. So, in allopathy, what we consider is just the disease symptoms. So, maybe supposing a person is suffering from cold or cough, then we prescribe the medicine based on the cough or cold. But in homeopathy, we also consider the mental state of the person from his childhood till his adulthood or till whichever phase he's come to us. So over here, what we do is in the past, if the person has had any mental trauma or he has been under a lot of mental stress, or if he has been exposed to a state of abuse, then all these symptoms are considered. All this is done in order to remove the mental block of the individual so that the medicine will act better on the individual. So after we consider all these, the physical and the mental symptoms, we match it with the homeopathic materia medica. We've studied a course of homeopathic materia medica wherein there are remedies which are individualized to every person. So based on the matching of the symptoms and the remedies, we come to a conclusion that so and so medicine can be prescribed to the individual.
Okay. So I'm going to come back to your comment around mental conditions and stress, etc. in a little bit. But before we go any further, I'd like to understand why World Homeopathy Day is celebrated on the 10th of April.
So World Homeopathy Day is celebrated on the 10th of April because it's the birth anniversary of our founder and father, Dr. Christian Frederick Samuel Hahnemann.
Okay.
So that's why it's celebrated on the 10th of April.
Okay. What are the different types of homeopathy?
So there is this constitutional homeopathy or classical homeopathy wherein we prescribe the remedy based on the constitution of an individual.
Okay.
By constitution I mean the physical and the mental makeup of a person.
Okay.
Now in physicals, all the physical ailments a person is suffering from, whether it is some sort of a cold, fever, a body ache, anything. And when I refer to mental, I mean that the mental state of a person. Whereas from childhood till adulthood, if there has been any exposure to any sort of a mental stress, trauma, or any form of an abuse, this all is considered in the form of homeopathic case taking. So when we prescribe a remedy, we need to get rid of these mental blocks.
Okay.
So once you get rid of these mental blocks, it helps the medicine to act better and faster.
Okay. Now, you talked about mental stress, mental blocks. I'm going to refer to whenever I've gone to a new homeopath for the first time. And thankfully that's only been twice because I'm very faithful and loyal to my homeopath back home.
Okay.
But the whole process of capturing information, I won't even say data because it's clearly information already that they're asking. You know, do you like hot or cold? How do you sleep? It's a whole host of things that usually you have to sit and think about those answers because they're intuitive things to the way you live your life, including what you eat, what you drink, what time, when, how you react to people, are you short tempered, do you like cold climates? It's things that are, as I would say, random if I were a first time initiate
Yes.
to the homeopathic process. Why does the case taking take so long, and why is it so detailed?
The case taking takes so long because we need to know all these symptoms. Like you mentioned, the climate, whether you can tolerate heat or cold better.
Yeah.
All these the different medicines which we prescribe. There are some which are more heat sensitive and some which are more cold sensitive. So
Okay.
also there are medicines which wherein you also mentioned about all your likings, your cravings. So
Correct.
supposing I'm craving salt,
Hmm.
or say I crave sugar, there's a different set of remedies wherein there is craving for sugar or sweet things, and there's a different set of remedies for salty things. So then that helps us in categorizing our medicines and hence approaching to the individualized remedy. And it
Okay.
takes a long time because we need to go in depth of each and every case.
Okay.
So for example, if you're having a chronic ailment, say psoriasis,
Hmm.
and it's been there since a couple of years, so what happens is we need to go in depth as to what was the main reason why, what triggered your psoriasis. It could be a mental block or some stress. It could also be that you could have a family history of psoriasis, and we need to go in depth to know what exactly was the main triggering cause and then match it to the particular remedy and come to a conclusion.
Okay, now you've talked about mental stress multiple times, so I'm going to pick that.
Sure.
You've said it makes a difference. So, my question would be, how does it make a difference in the treatment? Because you also talked about childhood, past history, any sort of trauma being
Yes.
important. What really is the component or the level of its importance in the entire case taking as well as treatment?
So, for example, if a woman has entered my clinic and she's a 40-year-old woman, and this lady has been suffering from polycystic ovarian disease, so I will go back to her childhood and try to find out whether there was any triggering point, or whether she had been exposed to any mental abuse or any sort of trauma or a stress factor which has triggered this. Also, as she's growing up, I would like to keep a tab on her menstrual cycle, whether it has been normal, whether the she has been having it regularly or not. If not, and if there has been a block in her menstrual cycle, or there has been a delay, I will try to find out as to why she has had this delay in her menses. It could be that she was in school and she's just failed her exams, so that could have affected her, and that's why she probably delayed her menses. Or in due course of time she has developed PCOD, which is polycystic ovarian disease, due to this, because she kept this suppressed within her, that she had failed her exams, and in the due course it presented as a polycystic ovarian disease. Yes, it doesn't make sense to many people, those who do not know how homeopathy actually works, but this helps us in individualizing the medicine and helping in curing the patient. Also, there have been cases wherein the husband and I mean the husband wife relationship has had a lot of ups and downs, so that could also lead to a mental stress to the woman, and she could present with maybe dysmenorrhea or menorrhagia, different symptoms.
Okay.
So it can.
Now, what is the patient's role during the case taking? I know that there is a laundry list of questions that are asked, but apart from just responding to those and kind of filling in the blanks on that case sheet, is there anything else that the patient needs to keep in mind, or a particular attitude that the patient needs to come with?
So, whenever a patient approaches me or comes to my clinic, what we do is that I ask the patient, firstly, I explain the system, how it works. That is, that I will take around 1 to 1.5 hours just to get the case, and what all set of questions I will ask regarding the physical symptoms, the mental symptoms, about the childhood, past history, medical history, everything.
Okay.
So when I brief the patient, I also tell the patient to be open and to communicate more with me so that I can get all the details and prescribe the individualized remedy. Otherwise, what happens is, supposing the patient has felt like he should not share a particular past, like if the patient has had a mental abuse or any history of some stress which he is unable to share, then this will act as a block, and this will also not help me in getting the correct remedy. At the same time, once I prescribe the medicine, take the entire case and prescribe the medicine, then I expect the patient to keep a note of the symptoms, which
Okay.
yeah. So once, supposing I've prescribed you with remedy X, so after around a month's time, when you come for a follow-up, I will ask you what were the changes you observed.
That's true.
So
Yes.
based on those symptoms, I will know whether the medicine has acted on you or it has not acted, whether you have improved or you have worsened. So that will
Okay.
help me in channelizing and knowing whether this is the right remedy indicated or not.
Okay.
Sometimes the right remedy indicated may have to be, supposing I've given you 30 potency, it may not really be acting well on you. So I may have to increase the dosage of the medicine to around 200.
Okay.
So that all depends on the follow-ups. So the patient is the main person who will help me in getting the
Okay.
right remedy.
Okay. I'm going to pick up on what you said about 30 and 200 dosage. So how are homeopathic medicines prepared and what is their source?
So they are prepared by a process called potentization, trituration, and succussion, wherein what we do is they are prepared from plants, animals, minerals, diseased organs, depends, whatever it is. So what we do is we take the main source. It is done in a pharmaceutical division. So they take the main source, say for example a plant. Then this plant is potentized and triturated, that is, it is reduced to a smaller, more effective form, and from its crude form to a more effective form. And then this medicine is further diluted, and the more it is diluted, the stronger it gets. So
How does that work?
yeah, so what happens is, supposing in the crude form, when it is indicated, we call it a tincture because it is
Yes.
mixed with alcohol.
Okay.
So those can be given in case of hypertension, or in case of maybe diabetes. There are these tincture forms which, supposing the patient has just come up with a very high blood pressure, and you give this, it will reduce the temperature.
Like a stat dose.
Yes, like a stat dose.
Okay.
But again, this doesn't help in curing the patient
Right.
completely. So then we give the individualized remedy after the thorough case taking. These will involve different potencies. For example, 30. 30 is given in case of chronic cases which have been long-standing and very deep. Then 200 is like the medium potency, which is indicated wherein we are like so-so.
Okay.
It has a very direct, mild
Direct.
action on the person. Whereas potencies which come higher, like that is 1M, 10M, these potencies have a very strong action in the mental frame.
Okay.
So there are different kinds of permutations and combinations of homeopathy. So around 3,000 medicines with 10 variable potencies, so around 30,000 medicines. So we need to literally channelize and see which one suits you the best based on your constitution.
Okay. How do homeopathic medicines work, or how do they act on the body?
So there are, as I had previously mentioned, that there is a basic principle, that is similia similibus curantur, wherein the likes cure likes. The second principle which we follow is the Hering's law of cure. Here we basically see that the person has symptoms which will get cured in a particular way, that is either from above downwards,
Okay.
from within outwards, from the main organ, from the most important organ to a smaller organ, and from the head to the hands and the feet. Now, an example for this would be, say a person is having asthma. Then once we give him the medicine, and if this is the correct medicine which is indicated, this patient will improve. Improve in the sense he will either develop some sort of discharge or some sort of a skin eruption, because this is going from from inwards outwards. Okay. So this helps in giving us signals. When the patient comes for a follow-up, when he mentions this, it gives us a signal that okay, the medicine is acting correctly and we don't need to interfere with the action of the medicine.
Okay.
So basically it works by, the homeopathic medicine will work by triggering your own system to cure itself.
Okay.
It improves the immunity and helps you in throwing out the toxins from your body.
Okay. So just as a corollary then, for example, if I were the patient that had come and I were breaking out into those eruptions,
Yes.
my knee-jerk reaction would be to stop the medication.
Yes.
So when you start me on a course, are you telling me that I am going to see all of these things most likely? Because it's not like the usual allopathic medication where I can Google something and see, okay, XYZ are going to be the side effects of this particular compound. Now, in the case of homeopathy, you as the doctor are really my only source of information. I'm sure there's stuff out there on Google, but there isn't enough formality in that information for most of us to go and look up information on Google on homeopathy. So, are you therefore telling patients that these are going to be side effects or that these are actually the effects of the medication?
So once I complete the process of case taking and I prescribe the remedy, I will tell the patient that you may either experience some sort of a discharge or some sort of a rash, or you may even have some diarrhea or constipation or some complaint which you have had previously in your childhood or any other phase of your life will reappear, and do not treat them, because these are a positive sign that the medicine is acting on your system.
Okay.
Then also you're not supposed to stop your medication. Instead, you're supposed to continue it until and unless the homeopath or the doctor whom you're consulting will indicate that you should stop the remedy.
Okay. So, do homeopathic medicines contain steroids?
No, they do not contain steroids. Though many people do think that it contains steroids, they do not. In fact, you could go and get them tested in a laboratory to verify whether they contain steroids or not. The fact is, why people consider that it contains steroids is because they tend to act, when you indicate the right remedy, it tends to act very quickly on the system. So some other people may consider it to be steroids, whereas you can't alter the main remedy, because if you do alter it by giving some sort of steroids or anything, it will not act on the system the way it is supposed to act. So no, they do not contain steroids.
Okay. Can anything interfere with homeopathic medication?
Yes. So whenever during the case taking process and after I prescribe the remedy, I also tell the patient not to use any sort of perfumes, deodorants, or maybe some perfumed oils. Then also even Ayurvedic medicine, which is similar to homeopathy, since they are prepared from plants, animals. So we usually tell the patient not to have take the same type of medicine at the same time, so that because it can repel, they both have similar actions which can repel. So we avoid giving the similar remedies. Now, why I said not to use deodorants or perfumes is because when you tend to apply perfume on your body, it tends to cut out the action of the remedy.
How?
So there is an electrical imbalance in your system once you applied the deodorant. So what we do is we say, if a person wants to apply the deodorant, apply it on your clothes, let it dry, and then you wear it. And also while application, you should make sure it doesn't touch your system, because the entire balance will just get cut off. And if supposing there was a medicine which was indicated before, its action will stop there and we'll have to restart it.
Okay. I've also heard it said about things like coffee, garlic, and one explanation that I've been given is that anything which has a strong odor should be avoided because the remedies are extremely gentle when given that they are mostly plant-based, and therefore any strong smell can overcome the effects of the remedy. Any comments?
Yes, it does overcome the effects. Now, why we avoid having coffee and camphor, or using camphor on your clothes or any sort of strong odors, is because what happens is there are certain medicines which are prepared from coffee or from camphor. So supposing I as a patient have taken coffee and I was prescribed coffee, there will be a repel.
They like repels.
Yes, like repels. So that's why we avoid giving the similar remedies.
Okay. Now you talked about not taking Ayurveda with homeopathy. I know that multiple practitioners have told me
Do.
that two alternative sources of medicine or fields of medicine should not be taken together. But that is not true when it comes to allopathy. So, allopathy and homeopathy, or allopathy and Ayurveda, etc., can be taken together.
Yes, they
How
can
does
be
that
taken.
work?
So what we do is we usually come across patients who do not start homeopathy in the very beginning. They are usually taking allopathic medicines priorly and then they come to us. So in case of hypertension, say the person has been having hypertension since around 10 to 15 years. So he's been on allopathic medicine. So what we could do is gradually taper down the dose, also side by side started with homeopathy, so we can both neutralize the action, and once the person's immunity is already built and it's better, he will automatically need to take a lower dose of the allopathic medicine.
Okay. Now, how long does it take to observe any change upon starting homeopathic treatment?
It depends from person to person and from case to case. In case of an acute case, which is within a period of 7 days, a person can notice change as early as possible. Depends on the remedy which was indicated to him and how individualized it has been. Also, in case of chronic cases, like how I mentioned about psoriasis, if the homeopath, based on his expertise, has indicated the right individualized remedy, it will help in curing the patient. You will notice symptoms within a period of a month.
Okay.
I don't need complete change, maybe a gradual process of
Okay.
change.
Now, when you talk about changes within the span of a month, usually the reason one has gone to an allopath is because you want to be cured, or you want the symptoms to be gotten rid of
Yes.
instantly or within a day, right? If it's chronic cold, particularly when it is children, because a parent is always worried. Now, if one takes a parent to a homeopath and the homeopath says it's going to take a month for you to see a change in your child, and the cough and cold is going to go on for a month, that is obviously a deterrent.
Yes,
So
it
how
is.
do you counter that?
So, when the patient comes to us, firstly we explain if the child has been suffering from, say, asthma for a couple of years, maybe 2 to 3 years, what we will see to it is that the asthma has to improve in a period of at least within the period of 1 month. His immunity has to improve. If he's exposed to the allergen, that exposure should give rise to a maybe a lesser degree, or the intensity of the illness should be lower.
Okay.
So the parent usually observes all these symptoms in the children, and then when they notice these changes within a period of a month or two, then automatically they will start building faith in the system. So it doesn't really depend on how long the person has been suffering, but it depends on the the medicine which is indicated and how individualized it is.
Okay. I know that homeopathy is particularly effective with children.
Yes.
From personal experience. Would you tell our viewers how safe it is for children?
It is very safe for children. In fact, it is safe for anybody. There are pregnant women for whom we indicate homeopathy. There are animals on whom we indicate homeopathy. There are children who are from as small as infants till adults. There's no bar for age or sex when it comes to homeopathy. In fact, I would like to share the fact that when my nephew was small, he had a skin rash which appeared without any cause or without any reason. So, in fact, my sister had asked me to start him on homeopathy from the very beginning. So, when I gave him homeopathy, uh, he never developed that rash again, and also he did not have any other complaints. So, I think when you start homeopathy from the childhood, it has the best effect because the immunity is really high when you're small. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, does a person need to be on homeopathic medicine for a long time?
Depends on the case.
Okay.
So, supposing it's a chronic case of which is a long-standing case for a couple of years, maybe 10 years, 15 years, it will definitely take quite some time for the patient to get better, because homeopathy is like an onion. You peel every layer of the onion. So, as you peel one layer, as the symptoms keep on getting better, the patient will improve, and hence maybe in the due course the patient will get better.
Okay. I would like to actually make a statement over here, which is that whenever one goes to a homeopath, Unlike when one goes to an allopath and one says, okay, I've come for this specific set of symptoms, the thing that I've realized with homeopathy is, and that comes from the word constitutional, it treats whatever might be out of balance within the system.
Yes.
So you might be going for something related to asthma and saying because you're at your wit's end and you want a cure for that. But at the same time, you need to tell the doctor or the person that's filling out that case sheet, do you have headaches? Do you have tingling in your fingers? Because whatever you might see as little niggling ailments are all treated in the course of that one set of medication that the homeopath gives you, if I'm correct.
Yes, you're
Is that
right.
right? So it's not just going to a homeopath for one thing, it's that you go and tell them, as it works with all alternative medication, tell them everything that you find is troubling you, and everything will be handled in the course once they start that first course.
Yes,
Right?
you're right. Absolutely right, Runa. So what happens is when during your case taking process, say you've come with some cough and cold, and that's the only complaint you have. As we start and continue the case taking process, we will ask you all those other questions like what you like, what you don't like, any other complaints. And at that point of time, you may not realize that you had a headache since a couple of months or maybe on
Yeah.
and off attacks of headache. So, when supposing being a homeopath, I have given you the right remedy or something similar or something close by, automatically you will realize that the episodes of your headache have reduced.
Right.
And maybe in the subsequent follow-ups, when you come to me, you may tell me, oh doctor, I had this symptom which was there, but I forgot to mention it to you. So this will show that the medicine which was indicated is the correct one and it has been indicated based on your whole. So homeopathy is a holistic, it has a holistic approach wherein we consider the mentals and physicals. So everything, whatever has been troubling you all these years will get improved with time.
You've mentioned a very wide range of cases in the course of the interview so far.
Yeah.
So, what kinds of cases can be treated by homeopathy?
I would say any case can be treated in homeopathy. In fact, I have priorly worked with a homeopath who would even treat cancer cases. But again, it depends on the extent of the illness, whether it is in the initial stage or maybe in the first or second stage. So it all depends on what kind of illness, how far it has extended, and the severity.
Okay. I've been told that I'm very happy with my little sugar coated pills because I follow a regimen of homeopathy. Now, are homeopathic medicines only placebos? All the medicines which look like white sugar pills, which taste brilliant no matter what gets put on them, they look similar. So, how are they different?
So basically, they are prepared. The white sugar pills, they are made from sugar of milk. So this component, these pills are actually just a vehicle. So the main medicine is present in the alcohol, which is mixed with the main source, whether it is a plant, an animal, a mineral, and these are then applied over these white pills, which get well coated with the alcoholic base, and then these are prescribed to the patient.
Okay.
So they are different because they are prepared from different sources and they are prescribed based on the individual. So they are all different. They are not the same one.
Okay. There are a lot of people who do not yet believe or have not yet adopted alternative therapies, homeopathy being one of them. What would you say to anybody who might think that a homeopath is a quack?
So a homeopath, many do refer to homeopaths as a quack, but we have studied for a couple of years, like 4.5 years of during our undergraduation, followed by 1 year of internship wherein we work in hospitals, whereas like I have passed out from Shiroda, and for my internship I worked in Asilo as well as in Hospicio. So we've been well exposed and we've learnt a lot. Following that, also I have done my post-graduation, which was in Father Muller's in Mangalore. So homeopathy basically includes, we study the human body, we study gynecology, we study surgery, we study Materia Medica, which includes all the medicines, then the homeopathic pharmacy, organon, which is a set of rules which we need to follow when we are prescribing the patient. Then when you specialize, you also do, you study subjects like medicine, which in which I have specialized. Then there are different, there is pediatrics, there is psychiatry, there is pharmacy. So it depends on which field you plan to specialize. So calling it quackery is not right.
Okay.
Another thing is these subjects which we are specializing in, or even the undergraduate course, this has been verified by the Central Council of Homeopathy.
Okay.
So we have our own system, which is...
So it's a valid verified system. Okay. Yes. And I can vouch for the fact that it definitely works. Do homeopaths require any diagnosis and pathological investigations?
Yes, we do require diagnosis and pathological investigations, because every patient who comes to the homeopath will want to know what is wrong with him.
Yes.
So diagnosis is very important. In order to diagnose a case, we need to do investigations like a complete blood count, or maybe even an X-ray if required, if he has some chest complaints, and so on. So these diagnostic procedures help us in knowing whether the disease, what is the main cause of the disease, as in whether there's any prognosis in the due course of time, and hence we do it. In fact, I have done a study during my post-graduation which included serum ferritin levels in case of iron deficiency anemia. So this was a specific test which indicated whether a person, I had done the study in adults, so whether the person is having iron deficiency anemia, and if so, after giving a homeopathic constitutional remedy, whether the person improves or not. So I did this over a period of a year, wherein I observed changes, and that homeopathic medicines do help in increasing the iron levels.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say specifically to our viewers?
I would love to say that do try homeopathy, and this really does help the people, and it helps in curing the ailments.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Steffi, for providing us with a good understanding of homeopathy. I can personally vouch for the efficacy and wonderful results that homeopathy can deliver, provided you have the faith and the patience with it. And by patience, I don't really think you need to wait for months and months to see results. Provided you've been open with your homeopath and your case taker, you will see tremendous, irreversible results in a fairly short period of time. But thank you to all of you, our viewers. We hope this has given you much to think about in this particularly effective field of alternative medicine.